Hey y'all, it's your girl Sia, and I'm back with another video. Y'all, I just wanted to talk really quickly from experience because I am a woman who has been celibate for 4 years. And so I feel that I'm qualified to speak on this, okay? Um, so here's the deal. I guess apparently there's a narrative going around that when a woman tells a man that she's celibate, that is a form of manipulation. And basically, if she's had, interactions with a male in previous years, that a man shouldn't have to wait for her to decide whether she's going to give it up or not, because basically if she's not a virgin, then if she doesn't give it up to you, that means she doesn't like you. um okay. Let's just start there, because when you really look at it, when you hear some of these men say the things that they say, again, I don't think they really understand how women operate and how we get to the point of being celibate. Now, could some women possibly use celibacy as a manipulation tactic? Sure, right? But I don't know that women get to the point of celibacy um to manipulate a man. Like, usually women who manipulate men in certain areas of their life are pretty, like, not celibate. So I don't know how that manipulates a man, right? If I'm meeting a man and we're dating, first off, I'm not necessarily going to come out and be like, yeah, so I'm celibate, unless we've been dating, maybe went on one or two dates, right? And the conversation, not that he has to ask me, right, but that I feel like this is a conversation I can have with this person. Because again, if I'm talking about my celibacy and my sexual status, I would think that that's a conversation for maybe the second date, maybe the third, That's just me personally. I understand that when you're dating you want to get everything out and on the table. But I think that a person being okay with a male being okay with a woman's celibacy, despite how much men like to say, well, oh, it's a manipulation tactic. I think to be able to disclose that within 2 or 3 dates, because I would assume that the woman is not sleeping with this man on the second or the third date. I mean, if that happens, okay, but I'm not a woman that has ever done that. I've never found that behavior to be okay. Like, I'm trying to get to know you. And so again, I would only disclose that. I think for me, it's a way to weed men out. But two, after you've gotten to know me a little bit, right? Because, and I guess to me, it's not manipulation. I can work with a person more based upon my rapport with them. Does that make sense? So if I'm building a rapport with you and we're kicking it, we hang out and you're like, hey, I like you, cool. Well, then at some point, I'm going to have to disclose that I'm celibate. But I would hope that we've built a bond enough to where, I guess in my head, and again, I could be thinking fairy tale and la la land, but again, I would think that if I'm cool and you really like me and we like, I'm good people, not like me, like, you hung out with me, you like what you see, what's in front of you, stuff like that, right? I don't know why a woman being celibate would be an issue. Excuse me. I think that it's an issue to men who are looking to play games with a woman, and those are the types of men that the celibacy is there to rule out and weed out. Okay. Women don't become celibate again for the sake of a male, but more for herself. And when women are serious about their celibacy, you can bet your bottom dollar that they've done a lot of work to be able to maintain that status. Okay. So for me, I understand men. I have a little girl, right? I mean, she ain't little, she's about to be a teenager, but I've got a girl, a daughter, right? And so the natural assumption would be, oh, well, you laid down and had such and such and such with such and such. So you should be able to do it for me. That's not how the world works, right? I want to be very clear. That's not how life works, right? It's not like I met this man, boom, and then all of a sudden, bam, and then I got pregnant and now I got a baby. That's not how that worked, right? It took months of courting me, years of courting me, actually. Let's be honest. Let's be clear about these things, right? It takes years for me, it took years of knowing this person for that to even happen, right? So for me, um, I don't see, again, I guess I'm not, I laugh at the male's point of view because there's no logic there, right? The argument is that you don't want a woman who's sleeping with every man and any man can whatever. But then you put down the celibate woman and say that it's a manipulation tactic. So it's very confusing because on one hand you're saying you don't want one thing, and then when the woman says, okay, well, I'm gonna do this, now all of a sudden something's wrong with her, or she's there to manipulate you because she hit the wall. Some women are just good with being alone. Some women are just comfortable with being by themselves. I feel like this: any man that comes into my space that isn't meant to be here and ordained by God is not for me. So I'm not gonna be, I'm not the girl that is gonna be openly like with my legs open, bam, anybody can hit. No, like there's so much more to life than that. Now, if I'm with a male and we're building and the connection is good and he's what I know that I deserve in a man, right? I just, maybe at that time after we done built something solid, like a foundation or something, then maybe, right? But for you to just come into my space randomly because I'm so used to being alone right now, right? Before this period, I was not. I'm so used to being alone that any male that's not ordained by God is a natural disruption to what I got going on naturally. So excuse me, I naturally will get irritated. I don't want men in my space. I'm a girl that I used to didn't mind getting hit on, and now I'm like, don't hit on me. Like, leave me alone. It's never the man that you want. It's some knucklehead that thinks he's got a chance or whatever. So I am a girl that, just like today, when I backed into my parking space, right? Some guy was on a fucking moped blasting music, and he's driving by in the parking lot all slow. I'm hesitant to get out, but I see other people that I recognize, so I'm like, all right, whatever, I'm gonna get out, right? I start getting out, dude circles back, right? And then does this whole, like, I don't know what the fuck he was looking for, because it wasn't like he was going into any of these apartments on this side. I'm pretty sure he was trying to get me to give him eye contact. And I remember it because he kept lingering, like doing some weird circle with the scooter. And I don't know. I'm not a fan. Okay. And I just sighed heavy, like, like so, and I did it loud enough. Again, I'm outside, but I did it loud enough to where the male, I knew he could hear me. Do you know that man scurried off so quickly? Like, I already knew what type of time it was, and I'm not interested, bro. I pull up and I'm backing in my car, bro, and you're with a fucking scooter, bro, with some fucking speaker on it. No, sorry. But I was irritated because I'm like, I know what you're trying to do. I knew what he was trying to do before I think he knew what he was trying to do. And it naturally irritated me because he had no business trying to do what he was going to do. Right. So, as a woman, I will say this: if it's not a male that's supposed to be in my life, right, I naturally don't want to be around them. I don't know what to tell you. Like, there's nothing in me that makes me want to carry on a conversation. Like, I do out of respect, but, and it's not that I hate men. I'm a girl. So naturally, I have way more in common with women than I do men. That's just a natural, like, given, right? And I'm a girly girl. So when it comes to sports and shit, I don't have anything in common with men, really. Like, there are some things that I know about, but mostly nothing. Right now, individually, we may love the same authors or the same books, or I don't know, whatever, the same, whatever. That's different than just me wanting to just talk to any fucking man. Okay. So I say this to say that when you become celibate, like when you're really used to being alone, the opposite sex doesn't, it's not the same. It don't hit the same. Okay. It's more like, ew, what you want? Like, what do you want? Right? Like, I don't know how to explain it. So the idea that if any man, if I start dating right now, right, and the man finds out that I'm celibate, he find 9 times out of 10, if I'm throwing it out there, I'm testing him. If he walks away, good, you did what you were supposed to do, right? But two, if we're having this conversation of celibacy, the reason being is that man has to understand that I can't just hop into sex just like that. You can't just be treating me like you treated LaQuisha last night. You know what I mean? Like, it's a real, it's like you work hard to obtain something. And it's very difficult. It's a very difficult decision. And I don't expect men to understand unless they've done the work. Like, unless you have become celibate, unless you understand what it's like to go without a woman for 4 years, you would not even understand what I'm saying. And really, I don't even think that conversation. And keep in mind, I started my celibacy journey at what, 31? Or what was it, 30? Maybe? It might have even been 30, y'all. I think so. Maybe towards the end of 2020. I don't know. I think so, though. I think it was the end of 2020. So 4 years, maybe, give or take. I need to do the math, but I'm pretty sure it's been about 4 years. It'll be 5 starting in like October. And I only say that because I'm talking about in terms of being out of a relationship completely, right? I don't even know the last time I actually was intimate with someone. And I because I worked so hard to obtain this, right? And it's something to be proud of. I want women to understand, and men, right? Talk to Megan Goods, what her ex-husband, same thing. Like, it's something to be proud of. When you're in a society where everybody is consumed with sex, it is very in my opinion, it is something to be proud of. Like, you accomplished something that God ordained for you. Celibacy is a journey. It's not like, oh, I'm just celibate today. That's not like, it's a process. It's a mental process. It's a lot of thoughts that go into that. And I really believe that when people are celibate, it's because God ordained them to be. Now, let's get rid of the religion piece, right? And let's just talk on it what it is. It is an accomplishment. When you hear men out there stating that, shit, I couldn't go 4 years without a woman, that's not, in my opinion, when a man lacks discipline or a woman lacks discipline, it's not it's, okay. So you got all these people doing what is easy, which is opening their legs and sticking their thing in something. That's easy. The hard part is abstaining from that, especially when you've already done it and you're living in a society where that's all they promote. So celibacy is actually an accomplishment, and not celibate. Let me be clear. Celibacy for a month, that ain't celibacy, in my opinion. That's abstinence, right? I mean, maybe not abstinence, but it is. Like, that ain't celibacy. Celibacy is really a long term type of deal. So for a girl to go without sex for a whole month, that's abstaining from it. I don't know that that's celibacy necessarily. And I'm not saying you got to go 4 years to be celibate, but 6 months or longer. I would have, it's my assumption if we're really looking at it from a genuine standpoint. So it's something to be proud of. I'm actually very proud of me being celibate. And what it does, let me be clear, is anytime I date, I now think of that part, the SE, part before a lot of other things. And I know that sounds crazy because I'm thinking of other things too. That's because I've been trained to think that way though. But when I think about the sex part, I'm really looking at it like, can I see a future with this person? And I'm not talking about in the terms of I need a test drive. It has me really looking at the person and their character and the qualities that they have before I choose to lay down with them. That is what celibacy allows you to do. So now you're not so boy crazy that you cannot make good decisions for yourself, but because you were able to discipline yourself, right, and know yourself, take the time to get to know yourself, you will now begin, the hope is that you'll begin to make better choices while you're dating, while you're in relationships and all that jazz. So if I'm talking to a man, you can bet your bottom dollar I'm assessing you 100% to see if you're someone I would even want to have your kid, right? Because I feel like if I'm in a relationship with someone, I should be able to see myself having your child, just like I should be able to see myself getting married to you. If the most intimate things, right, I don't see myself doing with you, there's no reason for me to really entertain that situation. And I mean that with all sincerity. Like, celibacy takes all the giddy, okey doke bullshit, it cuts it all out and allows the person to see people for who they are versus what I want you to be or what I need you to be in the moment. So your decisions are a lot more discerning, meaning that I'm not just about to be laying down and having sex with just any man. And it's gotta make sense. It's a situation where if I'm like, what is the end goal? Like, it's gotta make sense. And I mean, I don't mean to take y'all into all my thoughts, but when it comes how I view sex now, it's more like, what are we doing it for? Right? Like, what is the end goal? If the end goal is just to feel pleasure, like, I don't, in that way I can get pleasure and understand that, body is different than, going out and doing something fun. But I don't, what's the word? I don't have, like, that doesn't define me. You're going to have to come to the table with a hell of a lot more to be and stay in my presence other than what's in between your legs or what's in between mine. So I don't I don't know. I feel like, in my journey, celibacy has allowed me to really discern and see through a lot of the bullshit. And if a man is not, first of all, I know how to spot things out before I'd even get to the conversation of celibacy. So a lot of men weed themselves out anyway. I tell you guys, is 99.9% of men that are not good for you as a woman, right? Only 1%, right? Which means that man for you is very far few in between. Okay, not to say that they don't exist, but it's not every male you come across. So a lot of men, for me, they weed themselves out within the first few minutes of talking. But if it ever got there and we're close enough, and I'm not saying we got to be super close. I'm just talking about like we have a rapport enough to where I feel comfortable disclosing that information to you, and you be like, all right, bitch, and you ghost me the next night. Cool, you ghosted too, homie, and don't circle back. That's a wrap. Because if I'm disciplined and we're looking at an equally yoked mate, I need a male who is also disciplined, meaning that my celibacy would not offend him. My celibacy would not be a threat to him. My celibacy would only intrigue him, because now he can see, oh, damn, she ain't been with nobody. Listen, we already know what happens to a woman when she. And this idea that women shrivel up and dry out, no. I don't recall that conversation being had amongst women. Maybe men who are looking at women from the outside, but from the inside, from what I understand, women got a longevity of things that they like to do in the bedroom for a very long time. So I don't, let's just say you were with a virgin. Is not that not essentially, I mean, I don't know, because it's been a long time, but I'm just saying, would it not be like dealing? I mean, I'm not that naive, but I'm just saying, wouldn't the feeling, if you're dealing with a girl that's been with everybody, and then you dealing with a woman that's been celibate for 2, 3, 4 years, I mean, maybe you'll have to be a little patient with her in the bedroom, but I would think that that's the maybe I'm wrong. I'm not saying that it is. I really don't care. I'm just thinking I've abstained. She's cleansed herself. She's, you know, whatever. If the thing stretches and it stretches back, then there you go. Like, I know that's TMI because I don't really talk like that, but y'all get what I'm saying. I would think that that would be more of the preference. The woman who said, you know what, I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to focus on self and I'm going to do the work so that I learn how to be alone, so that when the right man comes along, I'm able to say yay and do so with confidence, instead of dealing with all the extra shit I've been dealing with because I ain't been disciplined. Something it's crazy because I really want my daughter to stay like her whole life. I don't want her engaging in any type of behaviors until after she is fully financially stable. I know that sounds crazy, but I think that women, the reason why it was so imperative to wait till marriage, but then again, you had women as young as girls as young as 16, 15, 12 getting married off. But if the idea is that the girl is supposed to grow up, and as she becomes an adult, 18 and over, right? And even really depends, 21 and over, right? If she is still a virgin, I would think that there's a lot of self-confidence that comes from being a virgin. I know that sounds crazy. But if women could make it until they 21, 22, 23, there's so much power in remaining a virgin, especially in your younger years when you really don't know no better. I'm just saying. So like I said, I don't think women, we don't get into this space of, oh, well, I'ma just be manipulative, so I'ma just say I'm celibate. No, motherfuckers is really celibate, motherfucker. Like, bitches out here really focused on self. That's what men don't understand. It ain't about you. Like, what do I have to if you ain't paying me no money, homie, what am I manipulating? Like, I'm just saying, like, I'm gonna need some cash out of my pocket, bro. If I tell you I'm celibate, I would prefer men. Listen, if you can't hang and you not disciplined, bro, feel free to move around. But don't think I have to give it to you just because I got a kid. That's manipulation. The fuck? So, I don't know, man. These dudes be saying the wildest shit. They don't know what they want. One minute they don't want a hoe, but then they don't want a girl who's celibate because she's manipulative. Or, excuse me, they didn't really say that. They said celibacy is a form of manipulation. So if she doesn't give it to you, then she ain't into you. What? Women, huh? You got all these women sleeping around, and you trying to tell me that the only way for me to be, excuse me, be into you is by fucking you? Huh? How? But then y'all the first ones to complain, well, she don't set me for me, man. She don't like me for me. Well, duh, because you didn't try to give her you. You try, well, you did, but on a whole other level. Like, okay. That's why I just let males talk. Let them talk, man. They say some of the stupidest shit, and I don't understand it because it contradicts each other. They say one thing one moment, and then they'll say something else that completely contradicts what they just said. But I want y'all to know, being celibate, I don't do this for men. I'm not thinking about a man. Like, I'm very well beyond the days of what do I do when I feel alone? Like, those days for me have passed. So, and something I've always said, if God allows me to have a husband, cool. I don't know how, because it's gonna be very difficult to get to me. I'm gonna be honest. I will say that my celibacy has enlightened me to a lot of the BS that a lot of men don't understand I don't have time for. Right. And I know what I want, I know what I deserve, and I just that's how I feel. Ugh, is all I can say. It ain't no shade or nothing, man. I don't dislike y'all. I don't have nothing against y'all. I just prefer you out of my space. So let me know what y'all think down in the comments below. Have you been celibate before? Or are you just picking up on talking points that you done heard on TikTok and YouTube? The shit ain't easy. It ain't easy. It only becomes easier as you do it often. I would say the first year is a bit rough. But once you do it, you're not trying to spoil what you've created. Like, you're not trying to ruin. There's so much that comes, and I know it sounds crazy, but that once you become celibate and you consider even sleeping, like I had a guy, I'll tell you this. I had a guy from my past who I met when I was like 18, 19, and he always, still to this day, follows me too. Follows me on Facebook and social media. And I remember him really trying to like be in a relationship with me again. And I was just like, not having it. But he offered me like birthday, y'all know the S3S, X word. And I thought about it. This was at the time I was actually feeling really alone. Okay. This was before this 4-year stunt. He tried to come back during these 4 years and I just ignored him. I mean, I accepted his friend request. That's about it. We don't talk, but he's on my Facebook. But this was the last time we spoke. This was our conversation. And at first I was like, nah, but I know who he is. I'm like, okay, like I'm not in a relationship. Whatever. And he's like, well, I'll make it all special. I can cook. Da, 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 da. I'm like, well, I ain't got nothing else better to do. And I'm justifying it in my head and, really like trying to get myself wanting to go over there. Like, but I ain't never really been that girl either. So it was very, but I know that if you want validation, if a woman wants validation, she's going to put herself in situations where she's going to feel validated. And I was in that phase at that time, right? Very saddened, just depressed, right? Not really loving on myself, right? So really contemplating this offer. And this is after I had been celibate for like six plus months, right? And I remember really thinking about it. He didn't know that I went through this thought process. But as I'm like prepping, because he hit me up, it was like a week before. Like I had a lot of time to think about my decisions on going over there and all that jazz. Y'all, when I really thought about all the effort I had put into being on my own and without in type of interaction, I looked at how peaceful my life was and looked at all the possibilities that could have came with this birthday sex, y'all. I weighed the risks, right? The pros and the cons. I weighed it, and I really went back and forth because I think the bad part of me wanted to be like, whatever, let's go do it. And then the good part of me was like, but that's what I was dealing with. It was very weird. So like sex is no longer a thing that I just fall into type shit. Like it's a real thought process for me, okay? Because I have to know if I'm willing to tolerate whatever comes with that interaction. And I never used to think about it. Now I do. I think about it a hell of a lot. I have men that offer me whatever all the time, but I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I ain't getting pregnant. I'm not carrying your baby. I'm not, my need for that level of pleasure, that type of pleasure, let's put it that way, does not exceed all of my other needs for pleasure that I'm able to meet. So I don't know that it's a simple process for me. Like it's a real thought process. Like, do I really want to give my body to this person? Like these are real thoughts that be happening. That's why I say I think celibate and women being virgins, okay? I just think until they're married and I don't know. I believe that plays a big part in our critical thinking as it relates to relationships and how we go about them and what we do. I am so convinced right now in my life that I can't be caught slipping by no man. He ain't gonna be able to come in my life and turn my life all upside down because of who I've become as a result of. So celibacy is something to be proud of. I told you guys I had a woman who was married getting a divorce, and she asked me, she said, "Are you married?" I said, "No." And she said, "Well," and I said, "Look, girl, I've been celibate." And I told her, because women, we can talk like that, right? And I'm like, "Girl, I've been celibate for 4 years. I am not worried about a man. I'm focused on my goals. If a man should come and he's, supportive of who I am and what I currently do, then maybe he's got to add value to my life." So, and we're talking back and forth. You know what she told me? She said, "Oh, you are so pure." That's what she called me. She said, "Women like me are pure." And I'm looking at her like, bitch, like, I didn't know. I mean, I appreciate it, but that was such an odd word for a way to describe a woman who's been celibate this long. And the woman was like, "Oh my God, I am so proud of you. I wish I could be like you." Like, these are what grown ass women, these women are older than me telling me this shit. So, ladies, fuck what the men are talking about. Like, we gotta like understand that it's only certain caliber of men that really talk like that too. It ain't like nobody. I be looking at these men like, bro, go get your weight down. Go get in the gym. Stop eating. Right? Go clean yourself up. Maybe shave your head, something. Right? Go put on a decent pair of clothes, right? I'm just saying, like, a lot of these dudes be looking rough, but have the most to say to women about what they think we should and should not be doing. So if men see celibacy as a manipulate, let them. The moment you disregard the fact that I told you I'm celibate, homie, you are not team me. You are an op. Therefore, you need to get the fuck away from me. It's that simple. Understand, it's not my job to argue with a man about, well, my celibacy. No, we don't do that. You wear that shit with a badge of honor because it is something to be proud of in today's society, because you don't find too many women that are celibate, let alone men. That is something to be proud of. I'm going to keep saying this time and time again. It takes a level of self discipline to be able to say, you know what? I'm not going to move this way because I know that moving this way does not necessarily cause me it doesn't do me any good. So any man that's trying to talk you out of your celibacy, that man don't mean you no good. That woman don't mean you no good. That's probably one of the strongest forms of boundaries a person can have in a relationship is celibacy. And it's no wonder it's being attacked because damn, I really got to be somebody. I really got to be likable in order for her to do what I want her to do. She's actually got to like me. See, because that's the thing. A man can't come. You can't come in front of my face talking about how fine you are because I'm just as fine, right? You can't talk to me about your money because I don't care about your money, right? The only thing a man has for me is who his character is. I mean, I care that you have money, right? I ain't dealing with no scooters and mopeds and no. But it's not the reason why I would want to be with you. So that ain't, I mean, that's neither here nor there. You could be the richest man in the world and you disrespect me too many times, one time, and I'm out. Simple. So celibacy is a boundary. And so when you hear men saying, well, oh, you're just trying to manipulate, oh, and they got something negative to say about you choosing to be celibate, that is not the man for you. That is an automatic red flag, and you let him weed himself out. That's what he did. The moment he opened his mouth to protest against your choice to be celibate was the moment he told you, girl, I ain't for you. Simple and plain. So that's all I got to say on the matter, y'all. Let me know what y'all think down in the comments below. With that being said, I'm out. Peace.